First story, the hollow road behind my house. I grew up on the edge of a small town called Fairview Springs, just west of Charlotte, North Carolina. Our house sat near a wooded dead-end road locals called Hollow Road. Most avoided it. They said it led nowhere, but for me, it led everywhere. Adventure, solitude, and eventually, horror. It started one summer evening, a few days after my 17th birthday. The air was thick with heat and the cicadas screamed in the trees. I had just gotten into an argument with my stepdad. He slammed the door. I grabbed my bike, needing to get away, and pedaled down Hollow Road like I always did when I was pissed off. The deeper I went, the quieter the woods got. Not peaceful quiet, unnatural quiet. No bugs, no birds, just my tires crunching gravel and my heartbeat in my ears. Then I saw it. At first I thought it was a shadow, but as I rode closer, it took shape. A man. Pale, tall, wearing what looked like a funeral suit, standing completely still in the middle of the road. His eyes, if they were eyes, were two holes. Not black. Empty. I swerved off the road, nearly hitting a tree, and when I looked back, he was gone. I told my mom that night. She didn't even look up from her crossword. Said Hollow Road had always been weird, but it was just trees and stories. No one believed me. No one ever does in stories like these. But that wasn't the end. That was the beginning. I started seeing the man more often. Always in the distance, always watching, never moving. Sometimes I'd wake up and see him standing at the edge of the woods behind our house, still as stone. I stopped riding my bike, stopped leaving my room after dark. Then came the night of the storm. Lightning lit up the sky like strobe lights. I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m, the power went out. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling when I heard it, knocking. 3 slow knocks on my window. My room's on the 2nd floor. I froze, prayed it was wind. But the knocking came again, 3 times. I gathered the courage to pull the curtain aside. Nothing. But when lightning flashed again, I saw footprints on the shingles outside my window. Wet footprints. I ran to my mom's room. She was gone. Her bed was still made. My stepdad's truck wasn't in the driveway. My stomach dropped. I called the police. They found the truck abandoned on Hollow Road. Doors wide open, keys still in the ignition. No sign of them. Days turned to weeks. The town put up posters. Volunteers searched the woods. Nothing. Just rumors. Whispers. Some folks said they'd seen the man in the suit wandering near the church graveyard. Others said Hollow Road wasn't on any official map. I tried to leave Fairview Springs. I packed my bag, bought a bus ticket to Pittsburgh. I made it as far as the county line. Then I woke up in my bed, covered in dirt, my shoes soaked, Hollow Road gravel in my pockets. I never boarded that bus. Now I'm 24, still living in the same house, still alone, and every night the man comes closer. Last night, he was standing in my room. I don't know how I'm writing this. I don't know what's real anymore. But if you're reading this and you ever find yourself near Fairview Springs, don't go down Hollow Road. Don't even look toward it, because once you do, he sees you. And once he sees you, he follows you. Second story, the streetlights die last in Silvergrove. They always said the suburbs were the safest place to raise a family, but they never lived in Silvergrove. My name is Adam Keener. I'm 34, divorced, and I work remotely as a software engineer. 3 months ago, I moved into a rental home at the edge of Silvergrove, Virginia, a quiet little cul-de-sac with trimmed hedges, dog walkers, and barbecue Sundays. That's what it looked like on the surface. The first night I slept there, I woke at 2 a.m. to a loud knock at the front door. Thump, thump, thump. I froze in bed. Who the hell knocks like that at 2 a.m.? I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. There was no one on the porch, just the streetlight flickering, casting long, twitching shadows. I wrote it off as maybe an animal or a prank. But the next night, it happened again. This time, the knock was followed by scratching. Low, deliberate, as if something was using fingernails against the wood. I called the police. They showed up, looked around, and shrugged. Probably a raccoon, one of them said. These older houses creak at night too. Just gotta get used to the neighborhood. I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room with a baseball bat. And that's when I noticed something. The streetlights, they didn't all stay on. At exactly 2:13 a.m., one by one, they would die. Click, click, click. Every night, the light closest to my house was the last to go out. And when it did, that's when the knocking started. I started marking the time, filming it. No matter what I did, call the electric company, set up security lights, even stay at a hotel, the same thing happened when I returned. The streetlight pattern. The knocking. My neighbor, Mrs. Granger, was the only one who believed me. She was 81, nearly blind, but sharp as a tack. "One by one they vanish," she whispered one afternoon, clutching her cane. Houses, people, lights. This street wasn't always this short. It used to stretch past the woods, but it's shrinking. Every time a light dies, something gets closer. I thought she was crazy, until the Johnsons disappeared. Their car sat in the driveway. Their porch light flickered, then went dark. No one's seen them since. I tried to leave. I packed up, threw everything in my truck, and sped out of the cul-de-sac. But the GPS glitched. No matter where I turned, I ended up circling back into Silvergrove. Every road bent back. Every freeway on-ramp dumped me back at the roundabout near Maple and Ash. That night, I smashed every bulb in my house. I boarded up the windows. I stayed awake until dawn. But it didn't matter. At 2:13 a.m., the last streetlight outside blinked out. I heard the knock. Louder, angrier. Thump, thump, thump. Then the scratching. Not at the door, but the walls. I grabbed my camera and ran upstairs. I aimed it out the window. Nothing. But when I looked through the viewfinder, I saw it. Tall, thin, like a silhouette made of static. It didn't move. It just stood at the edge of the lawn where the darkness met the grass. When I dropped the camera and looked with my eyes, it was gone. But the light behind me in the hallway buzzed, then popped. Click, click. I turned around. The hallway was longer than it had ever been. It stretched, impossibly. Doors I never had. Paintings I didn't recognize. Then I saw someone standing at the far end. Not someone. Me, but pale. Mouth open, eyes black. It smiled and beckoned. I turned and ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and waited. I'm still here, but I don't think I ever left that hallway. It's always 2:13 a.m., and the streetlights keep dying. One by one, until mine goes next. Third story. The Whispering House on Larkspur Drive. My name is Jason Carter, and I used to think suburbs were safe. I grew up in Oakbridge, a quiet place outside of Albany, New York. Rows of clean white fences, trimmed hedges, and friendly neighbors who waved while watering their lawns. Nothing ever really happened here, at least not until the Jennings moved into the old house on Larkspur Drive. That was the summer everything changed. It started with the lights. Just little flickers at first. Porch lights blinking 3 times. Hallway bulbs dimming and returning to full strength. At first, we joked about it being just old wiring. But I knew something was wrong the night I saw the Jennings boy staring out the attic window. He didn't blink. Not once. Not for the 10 minutes I watched. That window had been painted shut since the 80s, ever since the Bakers moved out after their daughter went missing. People whispered about that girl, Katie Baker, how she used to talk to herself in the backyard, how her parents found strange chalk symbols under her bed. Nobody ever proved anything. Oakbridge isn't the kind of place that likes to dig too deep, but I couldn't shake the image of that pale face in the attic. I finally worked up the nerve to visit the Jennings. Said I was selling raffle tickets for the neighborhood watch. Mr. Jennings didn't say much. Just smiled too wide and invited me in. The moment I crossed the threshold, I felt it, like walking through cold smoke. The air tasted like iron, and the walls breathed. I swear to God, they moved. I heard whispers, low and rhythmic, like someone chanting under their breath. Mrs. Jennings was in the kitchen. She was humming a lullaby, one I remembered from when I was a kid. But it was wrong. Slower, like it was dragging through molasses. Her eyes didn't meet mine, just kept stirring a pot of something black. And the boy? Gone. I asked, and Mr. Jennings just said, "He's where he belongs now." That night, I had a dream. Or maybe it was more. I was standing on Larkspur Drive, staring at the house, only it wasn't wood and brick anymore. It was flesh, pulsing, veined. And the windows blinked. I woke up screaming. I tried warning people, told my parents, told Officer Riley. No one listened. Jennings are good folks, they said. Leave them be. But kids started disappearing. First Tommy Griggs, then little Sophia from 3 blocks down. Nobody connected the dots, but I knew. I knew that house was hungry. I went back. I had to. I brought salt, a Bible, and my dad's old hunting knife. Inside, it was worse. The walls bled. The floors creaked out words. I swear they did. Stay, feed, hers. I made it to the attic. It smelled like rot and roses. The boy was there, crouched in the corner, eyes black as coal. He didn't blink. She's inside now, he said. Wants you next. I heard her, a voice like shattering mirrors. Jason? It said. You watched, you knew. The attic door slammed behind me. I don't remember what happened next, not really. Just flashes, screaming, fire, that lullaby again, but it was in my voice. They say the Jennings moved away. House burned down the next week. But some nights I drive by Larkspur Drive and see it, standing there, perfect, clean, waiting. And sometimes I dream of the whispering walls, of her, and I wake up humming that lullaby. Fourth story, beneath the quiet of Halberd Hills. I never wanted to move to the suburbs. When my wife Carla pushed for it, saying our son needed a safer place to grow up than the edge of Baltimore, I agreed only to keep the peace. Halberd Hills seemed like a quiet, clean, pre-packaged American dream. Rows of identical homes, manicured lawns, little white fences. Everyone waved. Everyone smiled. It felt fake as hell. But the strangest part was the quiet. It wasn't normal quiet, like the kind you get in the woods or a small town at night. It was heavy, pressed against your ears, like the world was holding its breath. The first night we spent in that house on Claremont Drive, I couldn't sleep. No crickets. No cars, no wind, just silence. Then came the dreams. I'd see people with melted faces, limbs that bent the wrong way, crawling through the basement. Always the basement. And always I'd wake up soaked in sweat, just as I heard footsteps in the hallway. But no one was ever there. Our son, Tommy, started changing. He'd sit in the dark of his room, talking to someone who wasn't there. We caught him once standing in the hallway at 3 a.m, staring at the vent near the floor, whispering, "You have to stay in the walls. Daddy says so." I never said that. Then came the day he brought me a drawing. Scribbled in waxy red crayon, it showed our house with black stick figures climbing out of the ground beneath it. When I asked him what it was, he said, "They live under us. They don't like light." Carla brushed it off as imagination. I knew better. I started investigating, talking to neighbors. And that's when I realized something was wrong with Halberd Hills. No one ever stayed long. Every family I asked had been there less than a year. Every house had been flipped at least 3 times. When I asked about the original residents, they all said the same thing. That was before the digging. What digging? I asked. The next day, Mrs. Langley, our neighbor 2 houses down, moved out without warning. Her house was abandoned by dusk. I saw her dragging suitcases to a waiting car, tears streaking her face, muttering something about them coming back. That night, I heard the pipes groaning. Except we don't have pipes under the floorboards. I pulled the carpet up in Tommy's room. There was a trapdoor, old wood, rotting, with a rusted iron ring bolted to the center. It looked ancient, like it had always been there, long before the house was built. I opened it. The smell hit me first, like rotting meat and dirt and moldy paper. Then the cold, not like basement cold, grave cold. I went down, step by step, my phone flashlight shaking in my hand. The walls were tight, covered in strange carvings, eyes, teeth, spirals, a language I didn't understand. And then I heard them, scraping, crawling, whispers in a voice that sounded like my son, but wrong, hollow, hungry. "Daddy, we're hungry." I ran. I slammed the trapdoor. I nailed it shut. I didn't care if it looked crazy. Carla was furious, told me I was scaring Tommy. But that night she heard them too. We decided to leave, packed in the middle of the night, took what we could, left everything else. As we drove out of Halberd Hills, I saw our old house in the rearview mirror. The front door opened. Something stepped out. It had Tommy's face, but it wasn't Tommy. He was asleep in the back seat. We never went back. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I swear I hear scratching behind the walls. And I wonder if we really got away. Fifth story, what waits past Willow Creek. They always said the suburbs were safe. Clean streets, quiet nights, kids on bicycles, and neighborhood barbecues. But that's not what I remember about Willow Creek. My name is Justin Monroe. I was 27 when I moved there. It was supposed to be temporary. Just a lease until I figured things out. My fiancée had left me. I'd quit my job, and I needed a reset. Willow Creek looked like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened. I was wrong. The first thing that felt off was how quiet it was. Not peaceful, empty. I walked past rows of pristine houses and didn't see a single soul. Not a car engine, not a barking dog. It was like someone had built a neighborhood and forgotten to fill it with people. But every night, I'd hear them. At first, I thought it was wind, a low whistle outside my bedroom window. But by the third night, I realized it was voices, whispering, chanting. I looked out the window once, just once. There were shadows standing across the street, perfectly still, unmoving, watching. I told myself I was imagining things, stress, new place, old house, that kind of thing. But it got worse. Every night, the whispers grew louder and closer, until I heard them at the foot of my bed. I started sleeping with the lights on. I stopped going out after dark. I bought blackout curtains, noise machines, even considered moving into a motel. But I couldn't leave. That's what no one tells you about Willow Creek. Once you're in, you're in. One night, I got drunk. I needed the courage. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside. Midnight. The street was dark, but I could feel the presence, like the air itself was thick with breath. I walked down Willow Lane, past identical houses, past neatly trimmed lawns. Everything looked too perfect. Then I reached the cul-de-sac, and I saw it, a crack in the street. It wasn't just a pothole, it was alive, black, pulsing, like something underneath was trying to push through. I stood frozen, and then I heard a voice, not whispering. Justin! It came from below the crack. I ran, fast, back home. I locked every door, every window. I didn't sleep that night. Next morning, there was a note on my doorstep. Don't run from what you've already let in. No envelope, no handwriting I recognized. After that, the dreams started. Always the same. I'd wake up in the middle of the cul-de-sac, surrounded by faceless figures, chanting in a language I didn't understand. Always the crack in the road, always the thing underneath it. I tried to move out, but my lease, non-existent. The number for the real estate agent, disconnected. Every time I drove toward the highway, my car would stall. GPS went blank. The roads twisted back toward Willow Creek. I started calling for help. Friends, family, cops. No one picked up. When I checked my call history, it was empty. It's been 3 weeks since I last saw the sun. The sky is always gray now. The streetlights flicker, even during the day. I haven't eaten, haven't slept. I keep hearing the voice under the street. It knows my name. It knows everything about me. And now, I know what it wants. I found a journal in the attic. Belonged to the last tenant. Pages and pages of the same sentence scribbled over and over. They live under the street. They wear our skin. Last night, I woke up standing in the cul-de-sac. The crack was open. I saw myself crawling out of it. It looked at me, smiled, and said, "You're free to go now." I ran home. I locked myself in the basement. I'm still here. But the version of me upstairs, it's not me. If you ever find yourself in Willow Creek, turn around, burn your map, smash your GPS, because once you've heard the whispering, you've already been chosen.